Hey everybody, welcome back to another Judgment commentary of Koyomimonogatari, but today we're going to be checking out the final two episodes, episodes 11 and 12. But last time, on episodes 9 and 10, it was a couple of unique episodes, so to speak, in that neither of them really involved any apparitions or oddities per se. It was really just a couple of contained episodes. Well, to be fair, they're all contained episodes, but somehow even more contained from the rest of them in some way. The first one was just about Shinobu learning what a torus was, which is the shape of a donut, aka a ring, and teaching Araragi a little bit of a lesson about how to negotiate, so to speak, I guess. Really, it was just that Araragi came in with some donuts Senjigahara had made for him. Shinobu, of course, wanted to eat said donuts, so she tried to say, oh, but what if she poisoned them? So she wanted to taste test them all. Araragi wasn't having it. So instead, they played hide and seek with the donuts, and if Araragi found them, he could eat them. And he did find them all, except one, which he could not locate. But after discussing with Hanekawa, she told him that Shinobu, more likely than not, actually hid one of the donuts inside another donut. So he did find it, and he did eat it, but he didn't know that he found it, therefore Shinobu wins. But yeah, that's it. Not much to analyze about that episode, but episode 10 was a little different. It involved Ononoki, which is always nice to get more Ononoki, even if I forgot she existed for a brief moment there. Araragi's forgetfulness is rubbing off on me. But that episode was just Araragi and Ononoki going around town with Araragi standing atop Ononoki's finger. Because she claimed that she was looking for something. She didn't know what it was, but that she would know it when she sees it, so she asked Araragi to help her find it, and, well, they never found it. And that's because she was never actually looking for anything, and she was just trying to keep Araragi away from Kaiki, because this was taking place while Kaiki was in town trying to deal with Nadeko, and Ononoki was trying to make sure that they didn't run into each other. Now, of course, one would think, why this day specifically? He's been here for quite a while now. Why was she trying to keep him away from Kaiki on this one specific day? Well, as I was informed of, Araragi was a little bit out of habit this day. Because Kaiki had done his research, he knew Araragi's schedule, he knew his habits, and he knew what he would have to do to try to avoid him. But today, Araragi was away from home. He was off doing the test that he needed to take, and thus, Kaiki might not have known that Araragi was away from his usual schedule, and then it could have risked them running into each other. So Ononoki dragged him off and put him right where everyone could see him so that he would be hidden in plain sight. And honestly, it connecting to the time period in which Kaiki was in town dealing with Nadeko is really interesting. It's the only episode so far that has actually tied in to a specific arc in this way, where it takes place during one. All the other ones take place either shortly after or are just in some weird in-between area. But not this one. So yeah, just another few little fun episodes to add to the list, but now we're on to the final two, and episode 11 looks to be interesting because there was no intro. None. No reused intro from a previous arc or anything like that, just nothing. Rather fitting, given that this one is called Koyomi Nothing. So, perhaps this one will be even more unique than any of the ones we've seen thus far, or maybe it'll just feature a character who doesn't have an intro. Who can say? Either way, let's just dive right in. Mamma mia, pizzeria! That was quite the ending. They built up to that like nobody's business. Just all the episodes with their own little contained stories, filling in little tiny gaps, you know, telling us just little OVA style tales. And then you hit 11 and 12 and then everything gets real. I kind of like that. I'm guessing it'll lead into the next part, which would be Owari season 2, right? Like Owari part 2, that's the next thing. That's cool, actually. I like that, you know? It gives you a reason to watch Koyomimonogatari if one wasn't particularly interested in just the episodic nature of these episodes. Well, you better watch them anyway if you want to know what's going on here. Or, well, at least 11 and 12. Now, anytime Guyan says anything, like anytime she's ever there, she always says a bunch of really cryptic, weirdly structured sentences. So I'm gonna have to, well, think more about what she was trying to get at, but you can grasp a little bit of the idea there. She was talking as if somebody took Yozuru out of the picture, like she's not just missing, that somebody removed her. It almost sounded like at first that she had taken Yozuru out of the picture herself, but it seemed pretty clear by the end of it that she did not, because she was talking about it as if it was a problem that she was missing, you know? Because now that she wasn't here, Ononoki fell dormant, meaning that Araragi couldn't rely on her to take care of any of his problems. So, if anything came up, he would inevitably act. And if he were to act, she thought that that could lead to problems. Thus, her solution: kill Araragi. Don't take any chances. Take the king off the board right away. Because she asked him if he thought he was the king, and although he didn't really think that he was, let's face it, he is. Pretty much everything centers around him or those, you know, directly tied to him. Well, hey, at least this is the only episode in this entire set that you can actually analyze for plot significance, because it seems like it's directly tying in to what we're going to be getting into next time, given where it, well, ended off. Like, that seemed pretty damn important. And man, they set you up for it right out of the gate with you know, just the title alone, the stuff in the beginning about him being cut up, and then Senjigahara being like, good job, man, you did it. Now all you gotta do is take that test, and then campus life awaits. It's the equivalent of, in an action movie, someone being like 2 days from retirement. It means they're gonna die horribly. Ah, man. What a way to start off. With episode 11, it was just him, you know, talking to Yozuru about, you know, wanting to train him so that he could defend himself without having to rely on his vampiric powers, and maybe she should have just tried to train him at least a little bit. He doesn't need to be on her level necessarily in order to defend himself, just maybe a little bit. Could have helped. Give him a pointer or two. You don't gotta, you know, train him through combat, which, yeah, would have resulted in him dying, but just give him something to work with. Because, well, if he had had a little bit to defend himself with, maybe he wouldn't have gotten chopped up into blood vapor. Speaking of him being chopped up, she used the original Oddity Slayer to do that. The one that had supposedly gone missing, but if I recall, there was a little hint to it still being around, right? In a previous arc, they talked about it at the end, about someone potentially having it. I'm getting vague recollections of someone talking about that, but either way, well, it's in her hands, and she put it to use. Like she said, though, it probably didn't hurt. He died so fast, he really didn't even know what happened. All he remembers is her, you know, pulling out the sword. He didn't really get any recollection of being murdered by it. But now I guess he's in the afterlife. He's wherever Mayoi is. Didn't look a little heaven-y, if you ask me. It looked more like purgatory, you know? It just looked like a big white empty plain with like one tree in it. Kind of reminded me of Davy Jones' locker in At World's End. I'm expecting to see a ship full of Jack Sparrows any moment. Also, I jokingly said that he might be in hell, but I hope he's not in hell. Because if he's in hell, that means Mayoi is in hell. And why would Mayoi be in hell? I mean, she was just a kid who got killed in a traffic accident. What could she have done to warrant going to hell? But it also doesn't look like heaven. So I guess purgatory would be the closest fit. You know, don't some believe that, you know, before someone has a chance to either be good or bad, they just go to purgatory? Maybe that's what this is. Or maybe it's something else entirely. Maybe I'm thinking about this too closed-mindedly. What an ending. But as for the rest of Koyomimonogatari, it was fun, you know? It was a nice change of pace from the rest of it. It slowed things down and gave us, you know, episodic types of episodes. Which is to say they were contained, telling smaller stories. It fit the 11-minute format of each episode well. And yeah, I was still probably overanalyzing the heck out of them a little too much, but hey, that's just what Monogatari has done to me. Especially when I'm checking out something that's in the Monogatari series, I just can't help but try to find any connections that I can, any thematic purpose, because that's just what this series does. But really, the only connections I could find was that a lot of them had to deal with regular things being identified as oddities, as potential apparitions, and you could theoretically connect that to the idea of how apparitions are made, in that, you know, they only exist because people believe that they exist. So what they could be showing us is, you know, the roots of oddities and apparitions, that this is how they all begin, with rumors passing around about strange things that in reality aren't strange at all. They're just normal stuff, but because people keep thinking that they're strange, they become strange. So maybe you could look at it like that. But on their own, they are just smaller, contained stories that are just for a bit of fun. Except episodes 11 and 12, which are obviously incredibly important. I mean, really continuing along the story as opposed to just filling things out a bit and giving us typical character interactions. But for now, I think I'm just about gonna call it a day. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure to leave a like and a comment if you enjoyed. Subscribe to be updated on more. That would be great. Hope you guys have enjoyed Koyomimonogatari, but now we move on to the next thing, which will, I assume, continue right along where we left off, which, as I said before, I believe Owari Monogatari Part 2 is next, the second half of the Owari storyline. And then after that, I don't think there's much else left. I know there's something called, Zoku Owari Monogatari, I believe? Yeah, actually, I think that's it. It's just Owari Part 2, and then Zoku Owari Monogatari, and then that's all they've adapted as of now. So really, there ain't much left, man. I think in total, there's 13 episodes of the whole frickin' show, so we're dang close to being done with all of Monogatari, and that feels really weird to say, because it's been so long. But I guess that's just something to discuss later. So, thank you once again, guys. Hope to catch you for Owari Part 2. But till then, I will see you guys later.